Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're back with a lockdown special here. We've got the man on who is he's doing what every gym owner and every business owner in the country has wanted to have the balls to do. My good friend, former world champion and Majestic Gym owner, Kevin Harper. Massive thank you for coming on, mate. There's a lot of very important information I know you've got to get out that you're going to try and help people with today. So massive thank you for coming over and coming on for us. Also joined by Bad Company Gym owners, Richard and Lisa Smith. I know they've both got a lot of questions for you as well. So let's delve straight into it. I got the attention was brought to me when the lockdown first started. You openly wrote on Facebook. He said, I'm not shutting. He said, I've got a duty to my clients. We need to keep people fit and healthy. I've got a duty to run my business. I've got the right to run my own business. I remember you put that post up and I looked at it the next day and I thought, oh shit, it's kicking off a little bit on here. Just want to start from the beginning about it all, how you just decided to say, right, I'm not having this and I know I've got the right to keep my business open.
Yeah, so this all goes back a couple of years when I've had a lot of experience in civil court, dealing with people doing generally contract issues. And court, first time I thought going to court was like a really scary experience. But then the more you go to court, you actually really realise it's actually not. Criminal court is going to be very different because if you go into criminal court and you're the defendant and you get it wrong, you might end up going to prison. So it's not the best place to be. But civil court, the judges are the arbitrator. So if me and Richard had a disagreement, Richard would have to prove that I'm in breach of contract and I'm defending it. And the judge is the arbitrator deciding it. And it was on a case about 2 years ago. And the judge, in summation, and he ruled against us in this favour. And he turned around and he said something along the lines of everything, 99.99% of civil matters boils down to contract law. And that was like a big eureka moment for me. And I went, wow, I get that now. I really understand that. And then I started chasing things and looking at things, looking through the Oxford Law Dictionary, looking at the meaning of words, meaning of other words and other words and other words, and kind of snowball from there. Then when the first lockdown came in March and April, it was, I didn't think that was kind of fair in the first place because if anybody's been suffered from coronavirus or lost anybody from coronavirus, and I have heartfelt sincerity goes out to them because obviously losing anybody's a bad thing, but I kind of thought that the money was being wasted and spent in the wrong areas. And I really do think, and even now, that we should be protecting the vulnerable. We shouldn't be losing everybody's civil liberties for the case of protecting some people in society. And even now it kind of goes, why these cancer patients not receiving treatment, but these guys are important, but these guys aren't. Who's making that decision? That's not fair. So that was kind of the thought back then, and I started doing a lot of research, and I came across a guy called Dean Clifford from Canada, and Dean Clifford is just there are a lot of guys out there who do kind of the free man stuff, and they do like podcasts and things like that, and they're really, really good. But Dean Clifford kind of resonates with me because he's kind of fuck you to the establishment, and he says a lot of stuff, and he's really in the know. He's really funny. He's really clever, and I kind of listen to him more than anybody. And I listen to other people, and they are pretty good. But Dean Clifford's really, really exceptional. So I've been listening to him for ages, and then I kind of realised that I don't have to go into lockdown. And the Facebook post that I put on the Saturday evening, I'd had a couple of drinks, but I'd got to the point where, no, I'm absolutely certain that if I do not go into lockdown, I am not breaking the law, because any law is consensual. So, well, not any law, but there's a difference between lawful and legal. Lawful is the law of the land. So law of the land generally forms of like, and there are people out there who've got legal backgrounds and everything will be screaming at this going, what are you talking about? Well, this is kind of the experiences that I've, in my own first-hand experiences, and also seen for the stuff that I've had as well, and things that I've watched, is that there's lawful and legal and all legislation. And lawful is like common law. So murdering somebody is against the law. Theft is against the law. If you injure somebody, it is against the law. If you are about to injure somebody, like drink driving, for example, you're about to injure somebody, it is against the law. Those are legislations, but they're deeply rooted in common law. So you've got the law of the land, but then you've got the law of the sea. You've got admiralty law. So when you go to court, you are taking part in admiralty law, which is the law of the sea. So we are citizens on a citizenship. Apprentices go on an apprenticeship. There's loads of different things I can give you, but it generally boils down to that law is the law of the land, is generally rooted in common law, and legislation is admiralty law. And in admiralty law, it requires your consent. So unless you give your consent, it is applied. Sorry, it is implied that you have given your consent. The fact that you're driving with a government standard driver's license, that you're operating on a government issued registration plate on your car, that you've gone through the right process. It is implied that you are an agent of the government. So one of the kind of stories in sort of common law, makes it easier for people to understand, is if you were in McDonald's and you were working at McDonald's, okay, and you were in the contract of employment that you would have at McDonald's, it would say, don't eat burgers while you're working on shift. Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable thing to say. And if you were eating burgers while you were on shift, you could get pulled into the office by the manager and fined. You've been eating burgers, you lazy so-and-so. You shouldn't be doing that. They're for the customers, okay, because it's theft, and you could get fined. Now, if you were working for McDonald's and instead of working, you took a break and you were sat there eating scrolling through your phone, you bought a burger and was sat down eating your burger, and the manager came over to you and said, "You've been eating a burger, look here, you got a burger." And you'd say, what would you say?
If it were me, probably, you're right. I've been eating burgers,
Yeah.
but yeah, I should say, I paid for this.
Yeah, I paid for it.
Yep.
I'm not working right now. I'm not working, okay? And then if you remember the general public, and I said, so if Richard walks in as a member of the general public and the manager from McDonald's comes over and goes, "You're eating a burger, I'm going to fine you," what would you say?
I've paid for it and I'm entitled to being here because I'm a customer.
Yeah, I'm a customer. And the laws of the land generally are based on the laws given to government employees while on shift. Let that sink in for a moment. So while you are working, you have to uphold. So as an employee,
Who's classed as government employees?
anybody who works for the government. So teachers, doctors, NHS, government employees, people who work for the council. Anybody. As private citizens, though, do you work for the government, Liam?
No.
No. Technically, you don't have to follow the laws of the land unless, and this is where the police come in, and if you watch the video, there's a few things that I do on the video that's got like nearly 2 million views from last Thursday, and the police come in. The first thing I say to the police is, "Hi, I'm Kevin." So the reason the police are coming to support the council, in fact, there's 3 visits. The first one, the police came in and said, "You were just seeing that you're open, da-da-da." So I said to the police, "Yeah, I'm Kevin, how can I help you?" First of all, I had identified myself, okay? So the first thing, if the police want to issue you with a fixed penalty notice, okay, if you're not giving you your details for them to issue you with a fixed penalty notice, they can arrest you, and rightly so, to issue that fixed penalty notice. So the first thing I said to them is, "Hi, I'm Kevin. I can represent Majestic Gym on this matter. How can I help you?" And they just said, "We're open." But seeing that you're open, and then I said, "Right, well, I think somebody from the council's coming out later on." And I said to the policeman then, "Is this a criminal matter?" And he said, and you see it on the video, and it's had about 400,000 views that video. "Is this criminal?" And he said, "No, it's civil." Okay, so the government have been saying, "Oh, this is criminal. You do this, it's criminal. It's criminal. It's criminal." Now, I've got another story to tell you about that particular thing that I'll come onto later, but the first part of it was this was a civil action. It wasn't criminal, it was civil. Later on, about 2 hours later, 4 police officers, and the first 2 police officers, and because I was really warm and sort of like, "Hi, are you okay?" and have a bit of a laugh with him, and I said to the guy, "Oh, we could do the heavyweight as well at the end of it."
I laughed my head off when you said that
and he
to
has,
him.
he has a bit of a joke, and I was really polite to him, and I wasn't being rude, I wasn't being obnoxious in any way, shape, or form. I'm defending my rights or anything. I wasn't, just being dead nice. So the next time round, 4 police officers turn up. They weren't coming up. They weren't turning up to just have a laugh. They were there to support the council. And if I wasn't giving my details to issue me with a fixed penalty notice, they could have arrested me to issue it. And also...
Well, if you'd have given them the slightest excuse to do so.
Absolutely. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind they were coming to find me. No, well, not to find me. Because the first thing you got to realise is the council can't fine you, the police can't fine you. They can only issue with what's called a fixed penalty notice, which is what's called in law a conditional offer. And you've got 4 options with that. Well, 3, but really 4. Option number 1, you pay the fine. Yeah? Get it out and done with. You don't go to court, you just pay it, which is what most people do. Option number 2, you plead not guilty. So if you get a parking ticket or something like that, fixed penalty notice, and you think, I'm going to contest this. I don't believe I was in the wrong. I'm going to contest this. And you go to court, found not guilty. That's option number 2. You also plead not guilty and you go to court, but the judge finds you guilty and makes you pay the fine. And then option number 4 is you go to court, found guilty, and the judge, because of the complexities of the matter and because it might be an unjust law. I mean, slavery was a law at one point, wasn't it? But it was a very unjust law. And the judge, based on the fact that coronavirus legislation comes in, but it would be a big gamble to make on the judge's part, that the judge might not fine you. So the judge can actually say guilty, but there's no fine to pay. Those are the 4 options. Okay, so they came in, and I've under absolutely no doubt in my mind they were coming in to issue me with a £10,000 fine, and potentially the 4 police officers were to issue fines for the remainder of the people who were inside the building. Because
so they can all be fined as well.
Well,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
what he said. He said, well, we might not be able to fine you, but we'll fine your members. And
That's what put us off.
Yeah,
we were
absolutely.
thinking after everything opened up again, after the first lockdown, it was just us who would be liable. But then suddenly you had a situation where the parents bringing the kids could be liable, and you've got other people to think about.
Which is
other
why
than
I've done this
yourselves.
for you guys as
Yeah.
well, because I've issued this to all my members anyway, and you can have a copy of that later because it does say the legislation. So they came in and they were going to issue me with a fine. I've no doubt about that. And they were going to issue me with a fixed penalty notice, and they were going to issue the members with a fixed penalty notice who were in.
And is it straight 10 grand straight away? Because I remember in that watching
No,
that.
I think it goes, it builds up.
Is it like £200 straight away? I think.
Yeah.
So I remember watching that Nick Capo gym, and they kept coming away. He's in Liverpool, and I think it started off a lot slow. And said, "I'm going to come back every hour, and if you're open,
yeah.
we'll go up, we'll go up, we'll go up."
So they would probably started low, but there was no way that was going to happen because I was absolutely adamant. And so the next question that I said to them was, so I introduced myself to the people. I made them all introduce themselves first of all because I wanted their identity on camera. And then I said, right, first of all, am I a government employee? Am I in uniform? Am I performing a function of government? Do I have a government identification? No. Okay. So first of all, that takes me out of the Burger King, the McDonald's employee scenario. So I'm just a customer coming in. So their laws don't apply to me. So then I say to them, because they've never been to the gym in 12 years, do they suspect that I've committed a crime? No. Do they suspect that I've committed a crime? Sorry, do they suspect that I've injured somebody or that I've injured somebody person? No. So the only way that they could arrest me or moving forward would be, do they suspect that I'm about to injure somebody, and do they suspect I'm about to injure somebody's person or property? Okay? Now, bearing in mind, I'm a private members group and I don't let people walk in off the street, so they would have to name the person that they suspect that I'm about to injure.
Could they not say, well, you're going to spread a virus?
Prove it. The onset of blame is on the plaintiff, not the defendant. So they would have to prove which one of my members. So I'd gone through this prior to this.
Because none of us have had transmissions, have they?
No,
None of us have transmissions in the gym.
And one of the things that I'd said, so I'll go back to the initial Facebook post. The Facebook post went on the Saturday night. In a couple of days, that had reached like 60,000 people, 100,000 people. I think it's about 180,000 people. Even tagged the Prime Minister in it, didn't I? You know what I mean? Being a smart ass. And people, as you said, there was proper wars kicking off underneath.
Yeah,
I'm going to prison. I'm going to prison. I work in judicial court all the time. If he doesn't pay that fine, he's going to prison. And I'm thinking,
we'll see.
Don't know.
We'll see.
You don't know. So anyway, all that was going off. I forgot my train of thought there. So on that Saturday, That was it. And then I started having, on the Monday morning, I walked into the gym, phone rings in the gym on the landline. Hiya, Kevin from Majestic Gym. Hiya, mine's such and such from The Guardian. Ooh, The Guardian, that's interesting. Can you have a quick chat with me now? And I went, no, but give me a ring back in 2 hours, and I will do. So I have a chat with him, and then I have a full interview with him, and then quite naughtily on my behalf, I'd told him something that he printed later that I told the whole world that Lisa's pregnant as well. So some people didn't even know. Some people didn't even know that she was pregnant. And next thing you know, someone's ringing her up, going, "Oh, congratulations!" She going, "No, do you know? Oh, it's in The Guardian."
Never mind all this lockdown. This pregnancy.
So that didn't do me any favours. Sorry, babe. I put all this out there, then Granada Report's gone onto it, and then Talk Radio, LBC Radio, and I'm doing interviews all over the place. And I'm saying, I'm staying open.
What was the general mood? How did you see any difference in their attitude towards you from different newspapers?
No, the first guy from The Guardian, he was really on my side because I kind of spoke to him before.
Guardian have been really like anti everything the government have done, really.
I have to say,
but pro lockdown.
Sometimes the person doing the interview will pretend to be on your side, and then what they actually.
Yeah, which I said, you tell me when we're going on record now. I sort of give him that, and we were speaking kind of away from that for a period of time, and then when we started speaking, he was going, yeah, and I kind of was worried about that might happen.
Yeah.
But in fairness, he was bang on. He was a top bloke, so that generated a lot of publicity. Then the Granada Reports, the LBC, the Talk Radio, and then next thing you know, I'm going on Piers and Susanna on the Friday morning, and I was ready and sat there on Zoom waiting to go, but the US election stuff ran over. And the US election stuff ran over, and they went, "We're going to go. Who are we going to go? Kerr home or the gym? Kerr home or the gym? Right, we're going with the Kerr home gym. Sorry, we're going to have to catch you at some other time." Boom, and turn the thing off. So the next thing you know, they're on.
And I love to see you stick it to Piers Morgan as well. I'm not going to lie. And I loved that. I loved it.
I don't like him at all. Particularly when he comes up the other day and saying that everybody should, and if you don't have it, it's a moral obligation. You should be having a vaccine.
Yeah, and if you can't travel, you shouldn't be able to travel outside of the country if you don't have one and all that. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
No, I don't agree in any of that, and I'll come on to that in a bit later. So I go back to that Facebook thing, generates all the media publicity. So I think because I generated so much media publicity, and then that was it. Wigan Council rung me and said on the Monday, and then tried turning up at the gym actually, but I wasn't there. And they said it's about the Facebook post that you did.
Who grassed you up?
Could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of people.
Because you'd already been grassed up twice for just doing things that were okay, hadn't you?
On what?
I thought you'd been before, yeah. I thought you'd had 2 visits.
Oh, no, that was it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
someone had said that we were doing something, and like policies and procedures are above board. And we had a visit from the council. I wasn't there at the time, and Josh, who works for the gym, he was like saying, "No, we don't do that. We do this and and we temperatures and we do this and we stagger the time so that the people can't coming out at the same time, and the whole group leaves and then comes in." And he explains everything, and she was like, "Wow, that's really weird."
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? We've all limited what we do.
Yeah,
mine
as-
comes down because my classes are smaller.
As a society, we've shown we can socially distance, we can wear masks. Well, I don't. We can socially distance, we can wear masks. We're taking in other people's consideration. I'm not going to stand next to an old lady in the supermarket out of respect.
Yeah,
Do you
100%.
know
what I mean?
100%.
And we've shown that we can do that.
We've had to. The only way you could open, like in July, was if you proved you were COVID secure.
Yeah.
So all the hairdressers, all the
Yeah.
beauty industry, all the gyms, everyone had to reduce the numbers, distance, and show that they'd done that. And then schools, they've not increased any. The schools have not increased like the size of the classrooms, yet they're still cramming 30 in, and they're open. Universities are open, so the transmissions are still going to carry on. But it's like
They
so.
don't
So
have to jump through the hoop. Well, no, in schools they
have to
they're
jump
doing
through
bubbles.
hoops.
They're doing bubbles, aren't they? But the kids can still play with each other at dinner time and things like playtime and that. But then they then go home and they can play in the street, and that's fine. And then they come to the gym and play with each other, and they can interact and swap between things, because the kids, it's really unfair to expect young children to be able to do that anyway. But the point that I was making is, a society, we've shown that we're responsible enough to be able to deal with this. So anyway, moving forward, going back to that, we had the council visit, and then they phoned me up and said, it's about your post. We highly suggest that you do not open on that Thursday. And I went, I'll think about it. See ya. So to be fair, I was picking a fight because I knew. I didn't know I had a very, 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 very strong feeling that I was going to win. And then also on the other flip side of that, Majestic Gym Limited is a limited company. So I could generate £5 gazillion worth of debt on that business, pop it, open up Majestic Gym 2 the next day, and zero debt. So because I knew there was nothing that they could do for me personally, I was like, I'm bulletproof here. I don't care. I actually don't give a fuck. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. I believe that I'm right, and I'm going to make a stand here. So anyway, Thursday morning, I'm expecting the police. I said to Lisa, right, you take Leighton to school. I'm going to go. I'm going early. So I'm going in there. And
Sat there with his popcorn.
No, you bear in mind.
Power ballad at the ready.
Bear in mind, I've got 2 affidavits ready.
Yeah.
So I've been and done all my groundwork. And you don't see the littlest kid on the playground going picking a fight with 3 of the biggest kids on the playground unless they know they're going to win. So I had my affidavits ready. I'm thinking, right. And in there's my fee schedule and all that. And I wanted her to take it off my hand and serve them kind of thing. And you're right, you're in contract with me. Because a lot of people, and this is what I said to the police as well. So for a police officer who's a public servant, they've got to be on your level, to be as your equal, they've got to be off shift, change out of the uniform, change onto the normal clothes, and then come back to meet you, and only then are they on your equal. As I said to the police officers, I'm the executive officer here. I'm in charge. You are a public servant, are you not? Ask them a question. You're a public servant. I'm the executive officer here. I'm in charge, and I've done nothing wrong. And I made it very clear to them from the start that I'm not known to the police. I've not broken any laws. And what I'm doing is I'm standing up for what I believe in.
That's the one thing, though, when people have spoken to me about how you came across, that's the one thing that people were really uncomfortable with. This idea that, I thought it was above. I thought it was above the police and things like that.
No, but I didn't.
Yeah.
No point. And one of the things that I've even said, even after that, is you've got to respect the police. And I said that in the video.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of videos with people on who they're just acting like dickheads just because they think they've got this high ground over them, and it just backfires in the face.
But the thing is,
and they end up getting arrested.
If you get your house burgled, who you phoning?
Exactly.
You're phoning the people. You're phoning the police, and they're going to come. They're going to come in like the cavalry, all guns blazing, blue lights flashing, and that's what you want. They are there for our protection. And if somebody injures you, your person or property, you're ringing the police for them to sort it. And I have no problem with the police at all. I have absolutely. But what I was saying there, that the police had no jurisdiction over me at that point because I hadn't injured anybody. I hadn't injured anybody, and they couldn't prove that I was about to injure anybody.
No, they had come to your gym because they suspected that you were committing an offence.
No, I'll come on to that because it wasn't an offence, and I'll prove that in a minute. So the police came in, and I said to the council, I've not committed a crime, blah, blah, blah. Do you suspect me of committing a crime? And they said no. And then I said to the woman, which is now, if you ever get stopped by the police or anything, like we've had the conversation about masks. So we've got to wear masks, haven't we? Because it's regulation, it's legislation. It's not. It's guidance. Okay. So if anybody can show me a law in black and white, a law, not a regulation, because there's a massive difference between, as I said earlier on, lawful and legislation. And an even bigger difference between legislation and regulation, all right, or guidance. So if I said to you, right, there's there's guidance that says you owe me 50 grand. What would you say?
Get fucked.
Exactly. I'd struggle to get it off in mind anyway. But if there was a law, that's different.
Yeah,
that's completely different. And all the mask stuff. And I mean, I'm exempt anyway because I've got respiratory stuff. But if I was in the shop, and in fact there was a young lad who was in the Tesco near me, and the little Tesco, and you've seen you on TV, and I've seen him on Facebook. Oh, you're famous now and all that. And there's a couple of old dears who worked there and they're brilliant. And they were like, oh, we had police in here before. And he was just getting served. And he took this lad's details saying if you don't wear a mask, he's going to arrest him next time. And I said, that's rubbish. Absolute nonsense. The first thing that I would say is, show me the law. So when the council lady was in, and I said to her, I said to the police, I'm no expert in law, but if I stole your phone, I would suspect that you'd arrest me under Section 5 of the 1968 Theft Act. It's Section 1. I got it wrong, but you get the idea.
Sounded good at the time.
Like, ooh, go on, Kev.
Yeah. So I'm quoting legislation to them. So I said, right, show me the law. And she said, on camera, it's not a test. And I was like, it is a test. If you're coming round as an enforcement officer, she was breaking the law. At that point, she didn't know the law. She was breaking the law. If you're going to come round issuing a fixed penalty notice, you better be sure that you can quote the legislation. And at the time, I mean, I was going under the guidance that the legislation didn't count to me. But then on the Thursday, when I woke up in the morning and went to the gym, and I was taunting them all day. I'm checking in. There's nobody come in yet today, and they must have been. This is what happened on the midnight on the Wednesday. The law was supposed to change, so on the Thursday, all the councils had been waiting for this legislation to land. And it didn't land, and it didn't land, and it didn't land. And the day's going on, and I'm checking in.
Because the House of Lords hadn't ratified it, is that why?
Not even the House of Lords, House of Commons. So, Tier 3 gyms in Liverpool can't open. Or Tier 3s can open. They change their mind all the time based on public opinion. And because so many people were kicking off, and I'm not saying it was down to me at all, but because so many people were so much about pro gyms and the fact that, as we've said...
Nick Capo did a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Brilliant.
So the fact that the transmission rates in gyms are like the second lowest, like 1.17, schools are 45%, about mental health. And that was the big thing that I was going on about, was about mental health. So that was the kind of thing that I was going on. But the legislation didn't even exist. So I was saying that the legislation doesn't count to me because I'm a private citizen and I don't operate in contract with the council. So on the flip side of that, the only way you're going to get me is there being a law, and there was no law. So Thursday, I'm prodding them, checking in. I'm going home now. I'm coming back at 5. Posted it on, about 50 people. As like a thing. Going home now, coming back at 5. Went back at 5. Nobody came. And then at about 6:30, the 2 police officers came. I had a laugh with them. Really, really nice guys. And as I said, all the way through this, I have nothing but admiration for the police. Nothing but admiration. Have a laugh with them. And then at 8:30, the heavy mob come. But at that point, there was no law. There was no law in place. So the only way they were going to get me, the only way they could have got me is if the police could have arrested me for obstructing. So there was a gym, was it Reaper's Gym or something like that?
Gym.
Yeah, in Basildon, was it? And the woman was barring the exit like that, going, you cannot enter. And the cop was going, I'm coming in, because he was arresting. He was going to issue FPNs to all the people. And all he wanted was the name and address. But because she was blocking the door, she's obstructing a police officer. I'm going to have to arrest you. Cheers. And he's got absolute right to do that.
If I was a policeman and I wanted to arrest somebody who started quoting the Magna Carta at me,
I'd just laugh at them.
It served to piss me off and make me want to arrest them even more. It's not, it's not. It's just people trying to be clever at their expense, and I know more than you, which is the wrong way to handle
But
these
in fairness, there are a lot of police officers. So I've been tested. So when the guys from the gym have been coming in, I'm going, right, stay there. I'm going to practice this on you. And I've been practicing, and they're going, ooh. That's pretty interesting. I'm not sure about that. So if I'm making normal police officers who do know the law actually question, can I do that? Then I knew I was winning. So when they came, and if you actually watch the video back, the police don't say anything, really.
No.
The police don't get involved because, first of all, I identified myself and I proved I'd not done nothing wrong. There was no crime to commit. It wasn't an arrestable offence. Me being open was not an arrestable offence. And the fact that the earlier police officers had said it's not a criminal matter, it's civil. So there was no reason, because I was being polite and I was fully engaging with them, I was being fully cooperative. I was just saying, and very rightfully so, that I don't believe there's any law And if there was a law, I still don't believe it applies to me until you can prove what's on the affidavit. That those laws don't apply to me. There is no law in place. So she goes away, and then the kind of arrow through the heart for me was when one of the guys said, well, what we could do is we could arrest all your people. And that was kind of wow. So it's just one of the reasons why I generated that and got the legislation out there, because obviously I don't want anybody getting arrested on my behalf.
Well, we put all the legislation up on our private Facebook group because obviously we're running kids classes. We've got parents coming and bringing kids. And what I didn't want was parents to say, well, you told us it was all right, and actually it turns out it wasn't. Yeah. So all information's there for them to read and make their own choice and their own decision, which is...
Well, I've not given them the full thing because the full legislation, and bearing in mind I've read it all, every single word of it, several times, because obviously legalese is quite a complicated language to read. So I condensed it all and put it into these very easy, like to read thingies, and I give them all to posted a copy in the members group, print that off, carry it on your person.
Where can people get a copy of that? Other gyms.
I will put it up on my Facebook, or I'll send you some links, and you can put the links underneath on the podcast, and you can all access it. Saves it going through me, because obviously they're reading this anyway. They'll just be able to go underneath and see it. So, and they can tailor make that for them. So the three things that they can allow to go to the gym for: firstly, an employee. So I've got employees. So Lisa's an employee. She can't be arrested for going to work. So do you know what I mean? Josh is an employee. He can't be arrested for going to work. He's following my rules. The second one is children's classes. So it says, quoting the legislation, indoor gyms, fitness studios, indoor sports facilities, and indoor leisure centres for supervised activities for children. They're allowed to stay open. Those are the exceptions. And then the third one, which we're doing, is adults attending Majestic Gym on the invitation to film. So I've been doing loads of filming recently, where I've been doing, like, I know I went on Remembrance Sunday, and I did 6 hours of filming, 17 minutes of footage that went out, and everybody who was filmed there was filmed absolutely legally. So the full videos are in my members group. And
everyone knows that you have to film, like a filmmaker will know you have to film hours and hours and hours to get like 5 minutes, don't you?
Absolutely. So the 5 minute footage that I've been putting out, and the links will go under there because I'll forward them to Liam, are some of the YouTube content that have gone out. But obviously not the full video, that's only a snippet.
You've got to edit it, haven't you?
I've got you edit it. You've got to edit it. And the full videos are there. So we, as a result of that, are able to run adult classes. We've not stopped. We've been able to run children's classes. We've not stopped, and therefore we're fully open. And we're fully open following the legislation. Now, some people might say...
Are they as busy as normal, or have you found people are not coming?
Some people are still
conscious.
Yeah. Because...
Depends what jobs people have got. That's why people are tired, aren't they?
So brainwashed. Well, not brainwashed. It's kind
cautious.
Yeah.
You'll be cautious.
Yeah, it's kind of having that unconditional acceptance that the government's right. And they're not.
A lot of outside bodies outside the government, like the FA and like British Gymnastics and like the British Medical Association, whatever, have created rules upon the rules, and they've made it even stricter and worse than what the government have done. We're lucky in a way because we're not employed by anyone, and we're not bound by those.
We're not going to be sacked for.
Yeah.
So the opinion of people in our industry and stuff like that. So I think if you're a solicitor, or if you're a doctor, or if you were in an industry like that, then it would probably have repercussions if you just said, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I understand that for people, really.
Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, I mean, I've got a contractual obligation to the members that I've got, and they were asking me to go into default with those memberships, and actually potentially me getting sued. So I would have a counterclaim on Wigan Council should that happen. So I kind of get that people are sort of being a bit cautious, but at the same time, I've got a legal obligation to provide training opportunities for my people. And that's either through the classes or if they want to do the home stuff. But either way, I've still got to provide that. Otherwise, what are they paying me the memberships for?
But the media as well, they're only... If you look at the bill, there's like the bill and then there's like a massive list of exemptions.
Yeah.
But the media are only putting the actual rules. They're not putting the exemptions.
They're only putting the guidelines.
Yeah, the guidelines, and then
so the media are equally at fault for this. And the other thing that I kind of think is a bit.
People are buying it though. I can't believe the number of intelligent people.
I think there's more people becoming more aware of this on a daily basis. People are realising that the government aren't all looking after the best interest. At the start of this, you couldn't fault the government and the way that they did it, and you kind of thought that it was right. But then you look at the fact that Neil Ferguson's projections have been peer-reviewed and they're all rubbish. The fact that the government spent 500 million on Tamiflu years ago, and for the swine
12 billion.
12 billion test and trace.
On a test and trace. That doesn't work.
Which has gone amazingly well, clearly.
Yeah.
I think it was you that put you could burn £1 million every day for 33 years.
Still not
spent
that much money.
It's an incredible amount of money.
And £1 million would be
and
a bonfire, wouldn't it?
And all the money's on sort of backdoor private links to conservative peers and things like that. Dido Harding. You look at there's PPE firms that are selling PPE on public tender for £5 per PPE, and the government have bought the same things for £15.
Yeah, and the companies that didn't exist, until the contracts were
no
were
public
issued.
tendering, and it's all. So more and more people are becoming aware of this. More and more people are realising that actually the government are the criminals. The government are the problem here. And
but there's still a lot of people who aren't. That's what's blowing my mind. Like every time we talk to a lot of people, and they are still kind of they're over enforcing. They're looking at the guidelines, and then they're making up their own guidelines to go on top of the guidelines. And then there's a moral judgment. Everyone's sort of twitting at each other, and it becomes we're all battling with each other rather than battling with a real enemy, which is the government on this.
Yeah. I mean, the legislation is the legislation. The law is the law, and there's no doubt about that. And there is the law, which I've read for you to see. And even now, even the fact that I'm allowed to be open, there are other gyms doing exactly the same thing which aren't being allowed to open. Why? Based on the councillor's decision. That's not my interpretation of the law. I don't give a shit about your interpretation of the law. Your interpretation means fuck all.
Someone wrote to York Council and they said, can we open for kids' classes? The first 4 lines of the email were basically, the law says you can. And then there was like and then there was an essay on their guidance and like their whole moral judgment and saying he was legally obliged to consider
you are obliged
this, that,
to
and the
consider
other.
the
It's
guidance.
Can I do it by law, yes or no?
Thought police, isn't it? That you can't be obliged.
I mean,
to
that's one of the things that I've done when I did it the way that I did it. And if you look at the final time that the council came in, and this proves
that's what I'm about to ask them. When were the checkmate moment where you knew, right, I've done them here? When were that?
When they came in on the 3rd visit, because I just carried on staying open. She said, I'll email you some stuff, and she emailed me some stuff.
There was one point where you said we're shutting. What was that?
That was because they were going to do the members.
Right.
And I said, right, I'll take that into consideration. But at the same time, I'd given them an affidavit, and they've got a legal requirement to reply to that, and they've got to do that by this week. Otherwise, they're going to default, and I win automatically, should they ever try and bring any case to me in future again. So the moment was when they came back in, and bearing in mind that the Thursday there was no law, Friday was no law, and then at 5:35 someone sent it me, and it said literally just hit the computer, and I went, got it, can't do me, I've got them. So the thing that I was going to go on about is that your laws don't apply to me, because I'm not an employee of Burger King or McDonald's, I'm a private citizen. Because their legislation couldn't even back it up. That's when I knew I had them. So if you look at the final visit on the council, when they come in, hi, we've got some great news. We've got, you're allowed to do children's classes. And I said, and I think you'll find them allowed to do filming as well, and this is what these adults are here for.
She was like,
that's not up to you to say so. But I knew I'd already had them at that point, and my camera pans over to the sort of like tripod that was set up, and I was filming at that point. There's no and everything that I've done has been lawful and legal.
That's something I've been wondering. I want to know. A lot of people want to know this. I think who filmed it?
Me, just on my phone.
Oh, so you just had your hold of your own phone?
did you not know that?
No, I thought it was
completely
behind
obvious.
you.
No, I'm just doing it on my phone.
Oh, I thought there was somebody there laughing their head off filming it.
No, I was just doing it, filming it, and I got the legislation through at 5:35 on the Friday. I knew that I could open for kids. I knew that I could open for filming. Win-win. And so when they came in, look at the difference between the lady from the council, Julie Middlehurst. The first time where she was very prickly, she was very pointy, she was very shrill, she was moving a mask all the time, which is a violation because she was on shift. Yeah, so she's doing that all the time. And then the second time, Kevin, I've got some great news. You're allowed to stay open for your children's classes. Why didn't they do that on Thursday?
Yeah. Why are they trying to help businesses stay open?
And since I've been posting those videos, as I said, this is a normal day in the life of Liam, but I got 1,500 messages through Twitter, through Facebook, through Instagram, through email, from text. All the coaches in the martial arts world, people all over the country. I've had messages from the Cayman Islands, Costa Rica, Australia, the way that you handled it, well done, well done, well done. But they're all wanting help. If you're a barbershop and you've been forced to close, get a camera and do slow-mo videos of your thingies, of your haircuts. Post them on your YouTube channel. Nothing they can do. Yeah. The only thing you'd have to be aware of is insurance. And so your insurance, your car insurance, who's your car insurance with?
Esure, I think.
Esure. So you've gone direct.
Yeah.
You've not gone to a broker like Swinton.
No.
So if you had gone through Swinton, you've gone to Richard Swinton, all right? And Richard tells you, because I'm the insurer, I have that conversation with you. So you're the customer. You go to Richard. Richard goes to me. And Richard makes the decision that your car insurance is invalid. And that's what's happening in Thai boxing clubs at the moment. Peter Spenceley put a post out the other day from Towergate saying that you're allowed to do it, but you need a letter of confirmation from your council. I saw this coming months ago.
That's just made up, isn't it, surely?
No, because they've gone for a broker. Pete acted as the broker. The UKMF have acted as the broker. So the UKMF have made a decision, a very poor decision in my opinion, to close gyms and follow the guidance, not the law.
They should be standing up for this, though.
Absolutely. And not only that, not only the employees, the children's, because you've got elite kids like Finlay and Fergus.
Well,
they should be, they're allowed to train anyway.
But this is what's been breaking
No,
away.
Fergus isn't, because he's not 15.
15.
Yeah.
No, but he should be allowed to train. No, that's on the elite pathway. The elite pathway is 15 and above.
Yeah.
So, but he's still a child. He's 17 and under. He can train.
Yeah.
But the point being is that this is something. So when I was competing, I worked as a teacher all the way through my career until I stopped fighting in 2011. I was a teacher all the way through, right? I was not in full-time employment as a teacher, but I would like to think that I was elite. Back when I'm not now, obviously. But back when I was elite. But because it wasn't my only form of employment, does that mean I can't train? And I think, quite rightly so, that anybody who's got a purse from B class and above in the last 3 years, you're elite fighters. If you're not an elite fighter, tell me why a 25-stone fat bastard darts player is classed as an elite sportsman. I'm sorry, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
It's just protecting the sports with a lot of money involved in them. It's just like the sports that
They're
can
not protecting
continue.
the people taking part.
No,
it's not
the
protecting not protecting the people.
It's protecting
taking
their
part.
empire.
But it's protecting their empire.
I think the groups involved in UK Muay Thai at the highest level, they've had a dereliction of duty. That they should be looking for active ways out for us to continue to train and play and do sport. And I feel sorry for I feel sorry for not just that. I feel sorry for kids in grassroots sport, grassroots rugby that can't play football outside. What's the problem?
Well, this has been my complaint all the way through, and what's broken my heart is the effect that it's had on kids. There's no performances, no dance, nothing to aim at. The kids have had so much taken away from them when it's actually the kids who aren't at any risk.
Somebody like Liam, who's an elite sportsman, you're no disrespect, but you're towards the end of your career.
I'm in the back end, mate. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I felt like I've been robbed of.
So this is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm looking at taking the government to court through the local council and doing it not in the Old Bailey, not in the Supreme Court, but I'm looking at gathering the evidence and taking them to court through civil court in the local magistrates. And the evidence that I use, if I'm successful, everybody can have for free. There you go. Go make your own civil claim. If the government can spend 12 billion on track and trace, which is absolute bullshit, if they can give Dido Harding all that money, if they can give is that Pia, And the government contracts that have just been handed out left, right, and centre, backhanders. If they can do that for them, if there's that much, and it's our money, we pay taxes. It's not their bloody money. It's our money anyway. So if they can do that, if they can spend that much money, well, I've got a claim here going for loss of earnings through my promotions business and my gym business. Doom, there you go. And there's Liam's bill. Doom, there you go. Everybody start, and it's not. If 10 people take the government to court for £1 million each, that's less effective than if 2,000 people take the government to court for 5,000 each. That is more powerful. And we are the people, we are the collective masses, and we need to stand up more and more that we're doing it and say that we're not accepting this anymore, because the government are criminals. The government are the same. People think that the government are doing the best for them, when at the same week that they gave each other a £3,500 pay rise, they chose not to feed children in poverty. And I think that's disgusting.
Where do you think we stand then on, where we like gyms, people got the loans, not the loans, what's it called?
Not
the bounce back loan, the other one. They got the grant.
Yeah.
So where do we stand? Could they not then claim that grant back if you've received and taken and had that grant?
No, but they gave us that grant as a condition for closing. That grant nearly ruined me. Have you seen the size of my premises?
Yeah.
That grant went like that.
Me too.
Yeah.
It went like that. There was no, I mean, the next size up was 25,000. There was no intermediary bit.
No.
I know people who got really small gyms have got the same amount as me. That burned through my bank account before you know.
Oh, shops. Shops got 25 grand.
I took, it's commercial. I've took 24 grand on a bounce back. I've had to just to pay the bills.
I have.
Just to pay the bills. That's immoral. So I want that wiping, and I'm going to claim everything that they owe me anyway for all the loss of earnings that I've had. But they gave me that for my moral obligation to close, and I did. I followed their guidance.
We did
And
close.
their guidance,
Very strict,
their guidance was incredibly wrong. It was flawed to the nth degree, and now they're coming out that it's been proven that they've been lying.
We were all really strict. I remember distinctly the day they allowed elite athletes to start training again. It was like a big deal. Me and you met for the first time for months.
Yeah. Months.
And did pads, and it was like a big wow.
That really emotional, wasn't it? And seeing
emotional.
people, because we stuck to our areas, we didn't drive out. This idea that everyone was just running around in that time.
And you tell
They
me now,
didn't.
and you tell me now with the lockdown now, less businesses are closed than they were the first time. Yeah. So the argument is, who's making that decision? It is Article 23 of the International Declaration of Human Rights says, I have the right to work. Who is making that decision that I can't work? That is a violation. And the UK signed that document in the 1948. So who's making that decision that I can't work? Well, who's saying that I'm not allowed to work, but Bazzy's Pizza Shop with a zero food hygiene rating?
Exactly.
Garden centres.
Poundland.
It's absolute nonsense. And this is what I'm saying. We need to collectively take the government to court. Collectively, individually take them to court, hold them accountable, and when they start getting lawsuits on small claims for like £50,000, £100,000 each for all of us, they'll go, shit. And I guarantee you lockdown will change overnight. The government's response to this will change overnight. Because it's criminal. And they are criminals. Hancock's a criminal. Johnson's a criminal. Insider trading, insider trading is a stockbroker. If you've got insider trading knowledge and you bet on the market before it's knowledge, you can go to prison for that. Why is Chris Whitty? Why is Valence, Hancock? They've all got shares in vaccine companies.
Exactly.
That's insider trading. The criminals need to go to fucking prison.
Well, it's not even just the knowledge that they've got something that happened. They're making something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If that's not conflict of interest, tell me what is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've also got the power to say, if you don't have this vaccine, well, then we can stop you having events. We can stop you going to events. We can stop you doing. And they're saying, they're not. The people are saying, they're not going to do that, they're not going to do that. But we never thought a year ago that we would be stopped from working.
The people that used to be ridiculed, like Sam Forrest.
Yeah.
Now look at everything that he said, it's bang on.
Exactly. Which is terrifying. It's fucking terrifying.
The day that Simon Forrest was right, the day
he's the sage. He is the sage.
He's going to be like John Connor, like the resistance fighter, leading us all to freedom, that guy, I'm telling you.
But it's frightening. And where the world's going is frightening. When the Australian
and the fact
Prime
people
Minister...
are accepting it.
Yeah, that's the problem. And the Australian Prime Minister says this is the new normal now. Get used to it. I'm sorry, but no.
But they think they're a success. We've had so many people contact us.
We've got friends in Australia.
Yeah, we've got friends in Australia, friends in New Zealand. Around, I mean, we've all got friends around the world, haven't we? And it's this idea that the reason why deaths were so high in this country is because we didn't lock down enough. That's the narrative that goes out. That's the media narrative that's going out worldwide. And we keep saying to people, we did for 3 months.
The people that died were, the average person was over 74 with 2.4 other major illnesses.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
I know
Exactly.
people. I know people who've said they've registered deaths. You know, the medical
Incorrectly,
professions
yeah.
who've registered deaths and not even seen the patient.
There's a woman called Dolores Cahill who's an Irish
I saw her.
epidemiologist. She's absolutely magnificent. Lord Sumption, if you've not listened to him, listen to him.
Yeah.
He's the words that come out of his mouth.
But as soon as people speak out, they
Lord
just
Sumption's-
they just say stuff. You know, they just find something that they've said that wasn't so great, and then everything's kind of.
But Lord Sumption's more your civil liberties stuff, isn't he? Whereas,
absolutely.
whereas Dolores Cahill or Mike Yeadon or
Absolutely.
or
But that's really factual.
Hennigan are
They're
talking
coming
about
from-
viruses and virology and
Yeah, and then what they're saying is on the factual side of it, and Lord Sumption's coming down on the legality side of it, and then they're all coming to the same conclusion that it's all wrong.
And there's still people who argue against it, still going, no, that can't be right. Government are right
I'm
there.
absolutely amazed, knowing Scousers as much as I do, all my family from Liverpool, that the people from Liverpool were queuing up for tests.
The test, yeah.
And they're on about bringing. I've wrote a letter to my school, to the children at school, making the head teacher reminding them that they are personally responsible under loc apprentice for my children. And if they try and administer either a test or a vaccine without my consent, I'll be coming for them. And I wanted him writing. Interestingly, they've not replied yet. They normally reply to everything like that.
Yeah.
So why are schools not doing that? There's something big on this. It stinks to high heaven.
Well, one of the most powerful things that Mike Yeadon said, and I've heard a couple of other experts say, is that a lot of their arguments about how viruses work and immunity and stuff like that is basic virology, basic epidemiology, and stuff
First year stuff, isn't it?
Chris Whitty, Patrick Vallance, and all those cronies they know them. It says there's no way that they do not know these facts, and the facts are, and then they say about how once you've had a virus, if your body has recovered from that virus, you are immune. You've got an immunity.
There was no second wave for bird flu, swine flu.
No.
But he said that, didn't he? He says viruses do not come in waves. He openly said it, didn't he? So why are the media and the government scaremongering everyone was saying the second wave's coming,
It's
the second
scaremongering.
wave, it's coming, and he's saying they don't come in waves, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I saw some figures this morning for Sweden, and they were saying about Sweden's had a lot more coronavirus deaths than the other Scandinavian countries, but their death rate, they normally have about 80 to 90,000 deaths a year in Sweden. The population of Sweden, 80 to 90,000 of all causes. This year, up to the 6th of November, so there's just over a month and a half or whatever, 2 months left to go. This year, they've so far had slightly over 70,000 deaths. So they're 20,000 deaths less this year than they normally have. So unless there's a massive disaster in the next couple of months,
Said it all along. The Sweden model works.
they're going to have had less deaths this year than they normally on average get.
Just sensible, isn't it? There's a nasty virus about. It can be, well, for most people it's benign. For some people it's really nasty.
Yeah.
So just all treat everyone with a bit of consideration.
Yeah.
Just what it needs.
Just before we go, because I'm gonna have to start making the way back over to Lancashire. Just to remind everybody, everybody's got a gym, everybody's got a barber, everybody's got a nail boutique, everybody's got a business that's been forced to close unfairly. Look at the legislation. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to get off your ass, stop watching the fucking Kardashians and do it yourself. Know what you're talking about in law. Find the legislation that fits you. The three things that you're probably going to be able to find are employees are exempt and not prone to prosecution. So you're allowed to leave. Basically, we're not supposed to be leaving the house unless to go to work. Get medical supplies or go shopping. You're allowed to go to work. So that's, if you're an employee, you're allowed to go to work. So that means you could, if you wanted to, go to the gym every day, train yourself, and use your own facilities, clean your own facilities, because it's your place of employment as well. Yeah. You're allowed to do that. The second one, and this, people need to realise, you don't need to ask anybody's fucking permission. It is your gym. Unless you've got a council-owned building or your insurance policies with a broker or a third party. And if you've not got if you don't have insurance directly, and you do have insurance with the UKMF or Pete's Lot, whatever is it, I forget, the
WTKA.
WTKA or the British Ring Sports or whatever it is, go and get your own. Don't get it through a broker. Go through go and buy extra insurance direct. Problem solved instantly. Problem solved. Yeah, and you can start doing children's classes. And when they turn up. When the police turn up, go, council, there you go, boom, there's the law. I'm not speaking to you, there's the law. Yeah? It's not for you to get into protracted conversation with somebody's fucking opinion that doesn't know what they're actually talking about. Regulations, suck my dick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Regulations.
Has anyone ever said that on your podcast before, Liam?
Probably me,
Probably,
but
yeah.
But I'm sorry, but it's wrong. It's wrong. And if you can prove the legislation, if the police come in and go, there you go, I'm not entering into conversation with you. Yeah, if you want to have a conversation with you, it'll cost you £50,000 an hour, right? That's something else.
You know what? I think I might actually call this podcast as well, though. This
Suck my
Kevin
dick.
Harper, suck my dick. That's what we'll call this podcast.
I feel like Eddie Murphy. And then the final one: adults attending the gym to film, and that is and that's not a loophole. That's you inviting people in as paid actors. You might give them a penny. You might give them a Freddo. They might be doing it voluntarily, but you can film for your can film for your
website
your
or
website.
YouTube.
Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Packet of Monster Munch, Liam has.
And you can invite people in to film that, because that video is going out to a members group, and as long as you've got footage, if you've not got your own YouTube channel now, and you're not saying at the end of videos, smash like, subscribe, and leave a comment below, then you're an idiot. And you can open legally for all of those reasons without fear of anything.
People can take the kids to activities as well.
Absolutely.
It actually says use your car rather than public transport, because it's reducing the risk of transmission. So parents are safe taking the kids to classes.
You're allowed to do that, and it's all there in the legislation. So have a look at it. All the exemptions start from page 18 onwards on the coronavirus document. The legislation on .gov.uk, there's a coronavirus 2.0 kind of thing. You'll go through that, look at it, stop watching the Kardashians, get off your ass, read a book, find out the information. And if you don't want to open, but don't sit there fucking moaning that you can't open when quite clearly you fucking can.
Just before we go, Kev, do you want to give your socials a shout out? So if anyone's got any questions for you or anything like that, or wants to watch any of your videos or anything, your Facebook page, your Insta page.
I've got my own personal one, Kevin Harper, but then I have the gym one, and the Kevin Harper one's more for like going to football and family and stuff. So Kevin Majestic is the Facebook profile. The Majestic Gym page Majestic Gym Wigan page on Facebook as well. My Instagram is majestic_gym, and Twitter is at Majestic Gym 1.
Right, mate. Massive thank you. I'm sure people are going to take a lot of valuable information away from that. Like you said, it's up to them what you do with it. If you want to get this shit sorted out, get up and.
If you want to earn a living, open. Simple.
There you go.
If you don't want to earn a living and you want to sit on your ass for a month, that's fine, but don't moan about it.
Kevin has got the blueprint. He's living proof that this shit works. So take his advice into consideration, get some reading done, and good luck, everyone. And thank you for Richard and Lisa for joining us as well. Kevin, massive thank you, mate.
No problem.
That were very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.